Good afternoon, Guyana. Welcome down again once again for our third installment of our fourth installment actually of our fun, fit, and healthy living with you. My name is Coel. I'm your guest. I'm your host on today's show and shows going forward. And what we're doing today, we're just basically advancing the conversation we had earlier in the week about calories and nutrition and what these things are actually mean to you as a person who's trying to start or change their lifestyles and attain a more healthier lifestyle and more well-being, overall well-being, that is. So early in the week when we met on Tuesday, we talked about calories and we gave a few definitions and gave some very broad generalized information about what calories mean and what calories do in your body and all these different kind of things. But today I want to focus specifically on talking about diet. And a lot of the times when we talk about diet and when persons hear diet, they automatically make negative assessments and negative connotations or from when they hear the word diet. And I just want to make a clarification when a trainer or anybody in the fitness community refers to diet. What we're more than likely encouraging you to do is to change your lifestyle choices around how you eat and how you utilize or make better food choices, more or less. With health and fitness, and again, most persons that are starting out in health and fitness have already difficult things that they're dealing with psychologically. And a lot of the times when you speak to trainers, you talk to persons that are quote unquote living a healthier lifestyle, it seems a bit judgmental in the way they speak to you about health and fitness. So that in turn also adds to your frustrations when trying to decide on a way forward. So I want us to, going forward, try to dispel those negative connotations you feel when you hear the word diet, and more so focus on lifestyle adjustments that are manageable lifestyle adjustments that are agreeable to your financial situation, and lifestyle choices that promote continuity in your fitness endeavor. Now, diet. So we understand that it sometimes has a negative implication, but a diet is more or less you looking at what you currently consume and making different choices because what you currently have been consuming hasn't been beneficial to your overall well-being. So we're going to advance that conversation today, and we're going to be talking a lot about how the human body, based on evidence that has been conducted, tests have been conducted and evidence gathered from those tests, what it actually means. So I want to turn your attention to a few years ago, a Kansas City university professor had done a study where he chose a Twinkie. If you guys know what a Twinkie is, it's a refined, sugary food, a cake, more or less. Yeah, Twinkie is a cake, a cream-filled cake. And he designed a meal plan specifically around calories. And again, early in the week, we spoke about what calories mean. Calories are not fat. Calories are units of energy. All right, we get from our macronutrients, we get most of it from our macronutrients, fats, carbohydrates, and proteins. And he designed a meal plan. I think it was 1,800 or so calories per day. The average person typically burns about 2,000 to 2,200 calories just doing normal things. So he created a calorie deficit diet using only Twinkies. Now, the point he was trying to convey is that it matters more the caloric amount that you're consuming as opposed to the actual nutritional value of what you are eating. And we're going to make that distinction in a few. But I'm really highlighting this to convey to you, the viewing public, that is always about your calorie intake and your calorie expenditure, or what you're putting out, your outtake, right? That is a fundamental understanding we really need to grasp when we're thinking about health and fitness from the eating side. It's all about your calorie intake matched with your calorie outtake. And let me go back to the story with the professor. He ate Twinkies for, I think, about 6 to 10 weeks. I can't remember definitive right now, but he ate Twinkies, a very sugary, refined food, for a number of weeks. And I think within 2 months or so, he lost 27 pounds. So that clearly conveys or provides solid evidence that it's all based on your calorie intake that is more integral to the process. However, right, and I'm going to add a caveat to this. It is important that we eat healthier foods, because eating healthier foods with higher nutritional value helps to make the body function way better, all right? And but anywhere in the world you live, anywhere you go, we all know that eating healthy or eating clean is somewhat pricier, which is very, very, very counterintuitive, but that is the truth. Eating healthy costs a lot of money. When you would do meal plans and you look at the type of food that have the high nutritional value content, and they're very expensive to acquire, you know. But what I want to encourage you to do is, in the absence of having that financial stability to purchase more expensive food, a more important thing that you can do to facilitate your weight loss is to, one, continue maintaining your fitness regimen with us on Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. And two, you need to take stock of what you're currently consuming, and you can make adjustments to what you currently consume, so you're not necessarily putting yourself under a tremendous financial burden to meet this food requirement. All right, and I'm gonna clear it up a bit more. Let's say, hypothetically, let's walk you through a typical meal intake of an average Guyanese. So you wake up in the morning, you more than likely have tea, coffee, sweetened, unsweetened with milk, sugar. You may have bread, you may have eggs, you may have tuna, you may have, some people have roti in the mornings for breakfast. Now, if you eat 4 slices of bread, a reasonable thing you can do is eat 2. Also, if you eat 4 slices of bread and it's white bread, you could make the adjustment to 2 slices of whole wheat bread. If you eat 3 eggs, you can continue to eat the 3 eggs, but just remove 2 of the yolks, because the yolk is the most delicious part of the egg, but it has the most fat content of the egg, so you can do that. If you eat tuna, you want to use tuna in water instead of tuna in oil. That also helps to lower the caloric value. If you drink coffee, tea, you want to switch out to probably from dairy. And again, this is there's a lot of contentious information around dairy in the world of fitness now. So you want to switch your dairy out for probably a coconut milk or plant-based almond milk, and you do that, right? And you make that adjustment, and that way you're not necessarily changing up your complete intake, but you're just altering your calorie density of your meals, right? So you're reducing your calorie intake, but you're also having the foods that you like. And that is, and again, that I want to convey to our viewers, that is the most sensible way to go about planning a proper and sustainable meal plan that works with your budget, right? So let's say you made the adjustment where you reduce the amount of bread and you change the type of bread. You reduce the amount of yolks. If you like eggs, you reduce the yolks. You change the sweeteners or you add no sweetener to your tea, or you remove the dairy from your beverage that you drink, that is very sustainable, and it won't necessarily break your pocket or cause you too much frustration, because you're still having a little bit of what you like, and you're still getting the benefits of eating fewer calories and eating food that also have a decent nutritional value. All right. So moving on, let's say the average Guyanese, and again, as I mentioned this earlier Tuesday, that there's nothing categorically wrong with rice. But rice is something that is a good carbohydrate, especially brown rice. White rice and brown rice, they have different calorie densities. But rice is not categorically a bad thing. But there's no need for you to be eating 2 cups of rice every day. No need. So there again, you can make a sensible adjustment to your already established meal intake, and you can see something beneficial in the long run. If you eat 2 cups of rice, you reduce it to 1.25 cups or a cup even. Also, you can make sensible alternative for other complex carbohydrates in with your meal, because most Guyanese kind of tend to cook stews. Most of us cook green leafy vegetables, and we have a plethora of other vegetables that we get from our markets. What I would like to advise is you don't try to cook the food all the way through. What happens in the Caribbean, we have a very, very overdeveloped palate. So we like very, very flavorful foods. And that's all in our brain. Right? Our brain has, because of the diets our parents had, our grandparents had, we tend to follow the same thing. We tend to develop a very sensitive palate to flavor. Those of you who travel in the Caribbean, you eat a lot of Caribbean food. Guyanese food is very, very flavorful. We're a little heavy on the salt here, but again, you're making sensible adjustments to things that you already consume. We're just making different choices in the quantity, different choices in how you prep or how you prepare these foods, right? So I mentioned earlier, if you use 2 cups of rice, if you want to just at 1.25 cups or a cup. You can also replace rice with something complex like a complex carbohydrate like sweet potatoes. But if you're going to eat this much rice, you're not going to make that much equivalent in terms of size of the sweet potato. You want to reduce the calories again, the sensible and manageable amount. All right. Again, there are calorie counters available that you can use that can definitively tell you how to calculate. I'm gonna give you guys a website you can go to at the end of the conversation, or within the conversation, that you can go to and get information on how to calculate your caloric needs for the day. So we're looking at lunch now. We have reduced rice. Your stew, you want to not cook it all the way through. You want to leave it a little bit raw. You want to change out your cooking oil, maybe to a more oil that has, well, I won't say olive oil, because when you cook olive oil, it doesn't necessarily, the cooking of olive oil will change up the nutritional value of the oil. But you want to use a good vegetable oil to cook your, and again, not too much of it, to cook your stews. And you want to use less salt. Next week I'm going to be having somebody on the show that has a wealth of knowledge in alternative food sources. So we're trying to get her on the show for you to have a discussion with her. She can share some ideas with you on that. So we have lunch, we've covered breakfast, we've covered lunch. Now dinner, and this is something that all Guyanese struggle with throughout, because most of us, because of our busy lifestyles, we are working all through the day and we have a very difficult time eating on time. And we tend to try to push all our intake later into the day. And this is something that we do that is very, very problematic, because as your day progresses, you have less calorie needs, you have less energy needs because your day is slowing down. And there's a problem when you try to put nutrition or excess nutrition into your body at the period of your day where you're slowing down, where there's not much catabolism going on in your body. Your body is not there's no need for your body to be receiving these excess calories. Because at that point of your day, when you're slowing down and you're shifting into a more anabolic phase of your day, you find that your body does not necessarily break that energy down and use it. It just breaks it down and then stores it for later. All right. So dinner is I would say dinner is a very, very important meal when you're starting off your fitness journey. And for dinner, you want to keep it light. You want to keep it light. So you want to get most of your calories into your body early into your day, and you want to keep it light. So what I typically recommend, for dinners, and a cheap way to do that, it would be tuna and lettuce wraps. Those are good dinner choice. Tuna lettuce wrap. If you have you can make a light soup. But you want to stay away from the carb-dense foods late at night because, as I mentioned earlier in the show during the week, carbohydrates are broken down for instant fuel in your body. So if you put more carbohydrates into your body later into your day, you won't necessarily get the utilization from it, and it will go and it will store in your body for later. And then the very next day, you're gonna consume similar amounts of calories, and that does not do your body justice at all. So to recap, you want to have a decent breakfast, right? You want to have a very decent lunch, balanced lunch, where you are not consuming too much carbohydrates again at lunch. And you want to, later into your day, have a lighter dinner so your body is not under pressure to burn its energy off, right? We made reference to also early in the week the importance of understanding your body type. We talked about the endomorphic, the mesomorphic, and the ectomorphic body types. And this is information that you should be fully aware. You should try to get yourself apprised with. Your body type matters significantly in the type of success you see in your fitness journey. All right. We did mention early in the week that endomorphic people have it the hardest because of their slow metabolisms and their body's propensity to hold on to a weight, given their large bone structures and their slow metabolisms and their less than their inability to put on and retain large amounts of muscle. All right. We mentioned also early in the week the mesomorph being the prime and muscle on your body. And there's this huge conversation in the fitness community where we want to change the language. I mentioned earlier, we talked about diet and the connotation the word diet has. We don't want you to change your diet. We want you to change your eating lifestyle. Also, there's significant information that supports the shift from the terminology from people are overweight to the fact that you are under muscled, right? So you want to shift the language, change the verbiage a bit so you get a better understanding of what's going on. You're more than likely not overweight. Again, the change in these terminology could help you to reorient your thinking and reorient your focus around your health and fitness pursuits. So you're under muscle, actually, and not necessarily overweight. Because muscle helps you to burn fat way more effectively because your muscles require so much energy to maintain themselves. You tend to burn more fat because you have more muscle, right? I'm going to use myself as an example. I would be considered a ectomorphic person because growing up, I was very, very skinny. When I started lifting weights, I was 150 pounds. And now, I'm 205 pounds average, right? And I'm very short. I'm only 5'9". But if you look at my body, I don't have much fat on my body. I have fat. As you get older, you tend to retain more fat in your midsections. I have fat, but looking at me, you wouldn't assume that I have a lot of fat on my body, but I do have fat. But because I spent years and years and years building quality muscle, lifting weights, doing cardio, mixing up my aerobic with my anaerobic forms of exercise, I was able to keep my metabolism up. I was also able to develop muscle that facilitates my body's ability to burn more fat and to burn off what I consume a lot faster because of the quality muscle that I've put on over the years. Again, I might not look it, but I personally do not work out as much as I used to in my earlier years, but I'm still able to maintain a decent body weight, decent amount of lean body weight, because I focus primarily on my intake because I'm not working out as much as I used to. All right. So nutrition, I want to reiterate to you, nutrition is very, 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 very important. Actually, it is the most important aspect of your fitness pursuit. The exercises that we give you are very, very important also, but they constitute a very small portion of what is needed to facilitate the best results in your fitness pursuits. So think of your body as under-muscled, and think of your diet adjustments as changing your lifestyle. Right? Now, again, everything has a cost associated to it. And if you're changing lifestyle with your diet, if you're changing your idea of what your body actually is, you have to, there's a cost associated with getting these things done, right? So you have to factor that in, and you have to be aware of how you can do that sensibly, right? Most of us, because of our limited budgets in Guyana, we tend to eat what's most convenient, what's right in front of us. And we in Guyana have a serious love affair with refined foods, right? And I have this conversation with my son all the time about his love for ramen noodles and his love for processed meats like chicken nuggets and sausages and all these different kind of things. Again, these things can be eaten in moderation and you will lose weight. However, we must always factor in the nutritional value that helps to promote our overall well-being, right? So I only referenced that story earlier about the professor eating Twinkies because that clearly indicates to you that, based on the evidence from his results, that it's all about your calorie restrictions or your understanding how much calories are going into your body that will facilitate your best results, right? So in Guyana, we have a love affair with refined foods, right? And that love affair needs to shift if we're going to see any kinds of changes in our overall health and well-being. In Guyana, we have also seen a significant spike in non-communicable diseases. And non-communicable diseases are directly attributed to lifestyle and lifestyle choices. So as Guyanese that are concerned about our well-being and our longevity of life, it is important that we relinquish this love affair we have with refined foods and start to make healthier choices. That's a very, very difficult thing to do because, again, refined foods are cheaper and more accessible to us. However, what I'm imploring you guys to do is to look at your current situation and you make adjustments. If you're gonna eat during the week, try to manage having more clean eating days as opposed to all the days in the week you're eating a particular way. And you make sensible choices. For those of you who can afford it, and those of you who are willing to spend the money to eat differently, go right ahead and do so, all right? But for those of you, which would make up the majority, you have to look at what you currently have access to and see how you can make the best adjustments to make it work for you. I had hinted earlier on Tuesday's show that I would spend a lot of time making meal plans for persons, and typically when you provide a meal plan to somebody, you're like, oh my God, this looks very expensive. I don't think you can do this. And from doing that over and over and over, I really got to realize that it's not the most sensible thing or the most sensible approach when you're looking at the complementary nutrition that is needed with your exercise. And that kind of conveyed to me the importance of having a conversation with clients about what is most sensible and most sensible and most appropriate for them to, most affordable, I should say, for them to do. Because that way they're able to make that lifestyle shift more easily, and they're able to sustain that lifestyle shift in their eating, because it's very, very hard. It's very, very hard, especially now. It's difficult dealing with work, dealing with your health, dealing with your kids, dealing with all these tangential aspects of your life that all tug and pull at you on a daily basis. It's tight, it's rough, but we in Guyanese parlance, we have the saying, you can't kill yourself for mind yourself. So it's important that we prioritize health and fitness, and you want to make health and fitness a part of your life, not your entire life. You don't allow your fitness pursuits to consume your life, because you are not a competitive athlete. One, you're just trying to maintain a healthy lifestyle so you can watch your children grow up and have grandbabies and play with your grandchildren, So that is the goal for the majority of us. The majority of us do not desire to be competitive athletes. The majority of us do not desire to be bodybuilders, strict bodybuilders. The majority of us just want to be healthy and fit. And the only sustainable way to do so is to make sure that you're able to balance yourself effectively to achieve those metrics, right? So it's very, very important that we understand this in our lifestyle adjustment, and understand that you're not fat or overweight, you're just under muscled, right? So you want to change the narrative when it comes to describing yourself. Don't describe yourself as fat. You're not fat. You're under muscled, right? You're not overweight. You're just under muscled, right? So you want to change that terminology. You want to have that shift in the conversation when it comes to how you describe yourself, and try to invite more positive thoughts into your fitness regimen. I did the promo for the video. I mentioned a quote from Napoleon Hill where he says, the body does what the mind tells it, more or less. It's a paraphrase, right? So it's all about reorienting our thinking, right? Your thoughts always become things. So it's very, very important that we are thinking and applying the due diligence when it comes to approaching our fitness pursuits. It will not happen absent of your commitment and focus, right? Again, and I don't want to seem like I'm preaching or pontificating to people on the show, but it is very, very important that we value ourselves, make ourselves a priority, so we can properly live and see the benefits from life. There are many people that I meet in the gym, many people that I meet in my daily life that want to get into health and fitness. They want to take the step, but when they look at their lives, they think it's very, very difficult because they have to go to work, they have to do this, they have to do that, and I can't really afford this and I can't really afford that. But what I've learned over the years participating in the industry, it's that you never ever really find the time. You really and truly have to make the time. All right. It is important that we try to understand that we are priority. We are a priority for ourselves. We should be. And if we continue to pour from an empty cup, we'll be unable to really be valuable to ourselves, because we're just constantly focusing on other things except our overall well-being. A healthy body, healthy mind, healthy spirit, it helps to promote really, really great well-being. Personally, to give you guys a little bit of an anecdotal reference, I recently started back going to school and these different kind of things, and I haven't been in a classroom in years. And I started going back to school and studying and these different kind of things. And I was inactive. I would go to the gym every day and I would train people every day, but I was very inactive. And I didn't do any kind of self-care or exercise for myself. And I can tell you definitively that exercise aids in your brain function. It does. Because I would be stuck trying to write the paper, or stuck trying to do research, or stuck trying to just learn, and I would just go take a run, a nice run. I get some exercise in. After the exercise, I take a shower. I eat something good, and afterwards, my brain would just expand, and I would be able to write a really good paper. I would have been able. I was able to, get the benefits from the exercise, because, it's really, really important. It's really, really important that we make fitness a priority. We make health and fitness a priority. There's no way around it. And again, I want to bring this conversation back to the importance of your intake. Right, your intake is so much a big part of this process. All right, so your intake, and again, it's not just the food you consume; it's what you're feeding your brain also that helps to promote a healthier lifestyle. In a world of social media, what you're feeding your brain also is a contributing factor to your unhealthy life, right? I think just recently, I read an article a few weeks ago that I can't remember where it was done, but to give you the salient points from it, what is stated, they did a blind survey where they deliberately streamed positive images to a number of social media users, and then they fed another set of social media users negative information, death, killing, all that la-di-da-di. And researchers found that the persons that consumed more of the negative imagery versus the person that consumed more positive imagery, they had significant differences in their stress levels, right? And it was so interesting. It's very, very interesting. And this is certainly a testament to how immaculately the human body is designed. As people, as moving people, as active people, as sentient and thinking beings, we are so powerful. We're so powerful, and a lot of us tend to forget that we have that ability, we have that energy residing with us that is able to change every circumstance we have, And health and fitness is a very, very good starting point to help facilitate and transition that change into a more positive lifestyle. I personally have witnessed how exercise and how eating well, how thinking well tends to promote the greatest degree of happiness in human beings. Personally witnessed it. I have people that I know in my sphere of life that they have so much financial burden, they have so much family burden and all these different kind of things. But what they do not neglect is their selves. They try to exercise, they try to eat clean, they try to think clean. And these persons, despite all these things going on around them, they tend to insulate themselves better from the harmful effects of their circumstances. So I cannot stress enough, I cannot tell you guys enough the importance of having a healthier lifestyle, and not just with your exercise, not just with your eating, also with your thinking. And this is primarily the reason why we're trying to bring shows like this, trying to bring content to you, the viewers, like this, where you get an opportunity to really engage and learn more about what is necessary, all right, to facilitate these changes. So that's why we're having this conversation, and we're going to continue to have these types of conversations for the duration of the show. And we just want to learn, we just want to share, and that is definitely going to be our emphasis on fun, fit, and healthy. All right, so I want to see if there are any questions in the chat, and I'm going to go take a look here. Bear with me as I pull up questions in the chat. All right, so there's a question here that asks about protein shakes before or after workout. All right, good. So proteins are, as I mentioned earlier, proteins are the building blocks of your cells. All right. So the reason why bodybuilders, and this is let's contextualize to bodybuilders. Bodybuilders tend to need a higher percentage of protein intake because they're constantly breaking down and destroying their muscles. So if you are a bodybuilder and you want to take a protein shake before working out, that's quite okay. There's nothing wrong with that. You take one before, you take one afterwards. But what I would advise, if you're going to be doing bodybuilding lifting, you want to consume food and beverage at least an hour to hour and a half before you actually go and work out. Reason being, when you put food into your system, your body, in its immaculate design, tends to try to prioritize your digestive function and appropriate energy to that function in your body. So if you go do that and you start to lift weights, your body, in response to this trauma that you're putting it through, is going to want to empty itself and deprioritize digestive function because of what you're doing. So more or less, long story short, you will vomit, and more than likely you'll become nauseated, and you will not be able to finish your workout and get the results that you're looking for. All right, so that's a good question. Thank you, Imran. A very good question. I hope I adequately answered that question. All right. All right, so there's another conversation here talking about yes, finding the time as opposed to making the time. Yeah, so, you know, here's the thing, right? We have, all of us have 24 hours in a day, right? Let's say we're asleep 8 of 24 hours, right? So we have 8 hours of sleep. So that leaves us with what? 8 and 8, 16. My math is not that good. We have, so that's 16 hours, right? So 16 hours left. You're at work, another 8. All right? That leaves you with what? 8 hours of time to do things for you. So 8 hours. 8 hours is a lot of time. Out of that 8 hours, you just need 1, right? All right. So you have a very tight schedule, and you can't necessarily find the time to make it to a gym. Now the TBN has the Fun Fit and Healthy. You can actually carve out an hour in your day to just review the workout sessions and do them from the comfort of your home. If that is not agreeable, you can do it. You can steal a half an hour before you take a shower in the morning and a half an hour before you shower at night, and you try to do something within that space half an hour before you shower and half an hour before you shower in the morning and half an hour before you shower at night. You can find that pocket of time to do something physical. So it's all about really taking a very objective look at your life and seeing which areas are most agreeable to accommodate sticking in some kind of physical activity. There are many ways. Again, it's always calories in, calories out. So if you look at your life and you realize that there are parts of your life that make it extremely difficult to facilitate the exercise portion, work on the diet portion, all right? Because like I said, with the story I referenced earlier with the professor from Kansas City University, all he did, he didn't increase his physical activity. All he did was significantly reduce his caloric intake, and he lost 27 pounds, right? And again, I'm not saying that to use that as an example for you to follow. The reason why to contextualize, the reason why I referenced that story is to convey to you that it's all about your calorie intake. It's primarily about your calorie intake, and that coupled with adding the right nutritionally valuable food to your diet will make all the more difference in your overall well-being, right? So finding the time is hard, yes, but you can make it. All right, so I don't see any other questions here. Yeah, so I was feeling a question earlier from a friend of mine that asked about, single dad typically preps for the entire week, meals for the entire week, and he's trying to lose weight, and how can he effectively do that on his tight time budget and time and financial budget. So again, what can be done in such a situation is basically looking at the volume of food intake and try to reduce it there, right? Fewer calories. That's the best and most easy way when considering that particular scenario. The most agreeable way to facilitate the weight loss would be to just minimize a bit more the volume of food that you're consuming by probably cooking the same things, but just reducing the amounts that you consume. Now, point to note, when you are starting a new diet or starting to shift your lifestyle to a more agreeable and healthier diet, your body is going to torture you in the beginning phase of that attempt. It's going to torture you. And that's because how the human body works, it's such a repetition or such a pattern recognizing thing that if your body was accustomed to receiving X, it follows that pattern religiously, right? So the minute you make any kind of shift in your intake, your body immediately recognizes, hey, this is not what you normally do to me. And it starts to trigger you and poke you, and you start to hallucinate, and you start to crave things that you wouldn't even ordinarily crave. That's normal. That's normal. The biggest part of it is just having the discipline to understand, or the awareness, I should say, that the minute you start to change your lifestyle in terms of your diet, your body is going to try to force you or trick you back into doing what it's accustomed to doing. And that's where your discipline comes in, all right? Can't stress that enough. It's old ways never open new doors. That can be considered an axiom of life. If you want new things to occur in your life, you cannot do the same things that you were doing prior. And there are many quotes and many things that we can say that have been said already about the importance of changing an action to create a different reaction. And that's fundamentally it. What I find helps also is And this is something that can be utilized in the home also, in a family setting. Me and cooking two pot, that kind of thing. So a good thing to do if you are a family is to try to get more people in the household involved in the lifestyle adjustment. And you try to get your spouse and your children on board with the healthier lifestyle changes. I think, from again being in health and fitness industry for a while, I've seen couples come to gym and one seeing more results than the other, and that is because they're not necessarily on board together in the endeavor. So that can be also a relationship building exercise. And again, I'm not a relationship coach, but trying to get, if you love your partner loves you, and you love your kids, you love your family, you want to be around, a good thing to do would be to coach each other and try to build your union and strengthen your union around this connected activity. I've seen that happen also. I've witnessed persons come to the gym together and kind of strengthen their bond because they're keeping each other encouraged. That's a wonderful thing to witness. Extremely wonderful thing to witness. And again, I'm very, very fortunate to be witnessed or bear witness to some of the wonderful things that occur when people try to change their life and stick and commit and focus, and they start to see the results. One of the greatest driving one of the greatest motivational factors in the gym or in your fitness pursuits is when you start to see these things, these tiny little things that you've been doing over a time, they begin to aggregate and come together, and you see this product to the end of your attempts. You can measure it. What you measure, you can manage. All right. I've had clients that come and they start training, and we start having these conversations and try to change their thinking, and they buy into it and they get on board and they start to see the results, and that kind of keeps them coming back, because it becomes the success of their attempts become addictive, and they batten down and they see the definitive benefit from doing these things consistently. Now, you don't see it all at once. I always say it took time for you to put the weight on. Is going to take time for you to take the weight off. So you want to make sure that you're committed to the process of it all. You have to commit to the process. Also, one other factor that diet has a significant impact on and I think we're still observing PCOS month. The sisterhoods. They're observing the observation of PCOS, polycystic ovarian syndrome, and polycystic ovarian syndrome is significantly on the rise in Guyana. And again, I think this all has some degree, or your diet has some degree of relevance. Or not relevance, how we've been eating over the last few years, and the amount of the love affair with the refined stuff. I think that's significantly contributing to the spike we have here in Guyana for PCOS. So again, your diet is a huge aspect of managing your PCOS symptoms. So again, there's so much benefit from changing your lifestyle around your diet. So it's important that we buy into the diet portion of it. We have to. It makes very little sense you joining in on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays, on Fridays for the exercise portion, and the other rest you're not doing the complementary things that will facilitate the best result for you. And again, your goal is to feel good. The looking good part is going to come afterwards, but the goal should be to feel good. And the looking good will come. We can't plant oranges and get banana. It's all tied into what you are willing to do for yourself. When you focus on yourself, things tend to work out better for you. You have more in your cup to pour from. So, Again, I don't want to sound too preachy on this show, but you have more to give of you. You breathe better, you walk better, you taste better. Everything is just on point for you when you decide to take care of yourself. So if nothing else, the lifestyle diet change, the reorientation of the terms we use to describe our physical situation, the fat and you're overweight, you're not overweight. And again, let's try to change the narrative. You are under muscled. So from today on, when we were referring to fat people, is you're not fat, you're under muscled. So the reason you're under muscled is because you're not mindful of your intake and you're not mindful of your outtake. So it's important that we understand these things and we buy into it some more. Let's see if they have any other questions in the chat. Let's see. I don't see any other questions. All right. Good. So again, to bring it all, the diet, we need to relinquish that negative connotation we feel when we hear the word diet and shift it to a more lifestyle. One size does not fit all. You have to be aware of your body type, and you eat for your body type. You eat for your lifestyle. So I don't know if the guys in the team could probably put up a website for me so you can get that website. It is www. I don't know, the technical team, if you're there, if you're hearing me, all right? It's, one sec, let me just get it up so you can get it. All right, so we'll send it in the chat. The website is www.calculator.net, www.calculator.net. All right, and we'll put that in the chat for you. All right, so when you go to that website, it has I don't know if somebody from their team could come and assist me in getting this up on the screen. If you can put this up on the screen really quick. A moment, let me see if we can. All right, okay, all right, good. So try to get better at this. Yeah, so calculator.net, all right? It's going to take you to the site, and it has a option here that you can enter your information, and you'll be able to calculate definitively what your caloric needs for the day would be, and you can start building your fitness regimen or your fitness intake, your diet around this number, right? So I'm sending the stuff to the chat right now if you're on, and when you review the video you should be able to see the website. All right, so it was my absolute pleasure being with you all today and advancing this conversation on diet and what it means. It's very, very wonderful conversation to be having. I hope what we shared was useful, and I am certainly pleased and happy to be participating in your lives this way. And it's all about you. It's all about you. You are very important, and taking care of you will facilitate the best results.
I'm in danger. Whoops, didn't mean to touch the turtle. I was eaten already. But now that...
Yes, so taking care of you is the best thing you can do for yourself. And when you do that, you're able to see the best gain in your life. So I want to leave you with that message today. And right, so let me send that comment real quick in the chat. All right, so once again, thank you for being with us today on Fun, Fit, and Healthy. It was a pleasure spending this time with you, sharing information, sharing ideas, and we'll see you back tomorrow at 2. We will be making some adjustments to the time slot for our show, and that information will be conveyed to you over the weekend. But for now, tomorrow the show remains at 2. Do join in and participate in our discussion. I'll be more than happy to answer questions. Again, if I do not know the answer to the question, I will certainly endeavor to find it and provide that information to you on our next show. We want to, again, to bring it home again, we talked about diet and the importance of your lifestyle change, dispelling those negative connotations, and reminding you that you are not fat, you are not overweight, you are just under-muscled. And it's your commitment that will make all the difference in making you a healthier person, a healthier Guyanese. And to the Guyanese home and in the diaspora, we want to make sure that we're sending that information out to you the best way, and making sure that you are fully apprised and fully aware of what's going on. So thank you again for joining us on Fun, Fit, and Healthy. My name is Coel. I'm your host and resident fitness trainer, and it's my absolute pleasure to advance this conversation and to keep you engaged. Stay tuned for our next show on the program, and continue to have fun, continue to be fit, and to continue to be healthy. So thank you so much for joining us today.